Well, a new analysis from the Center for Strategic and International Studies shows that the cost to the United States of defending Taiwan from a Chinese invasion would be enormous. The cost in blood of U.S. sailors and airmen would be enormous. In 3 weeks, the report notes, the U.S. would suffer about half as many casualties as it did in 20 years of war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Commanders would have to move forward despite a high level of casualties not seen in living memory. Let's bring in the author of the 100-Year Marathon, the Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow for China Strategy, Michael Pillsbury. I look at this stuff, Michael, and I think, man, this is just devastating. You look at this, and they war gamed this 24 times, and in a lot of those times, America actually defended Taiwan, but in every case, the human loss for Americans was massive, and the destruction to Taiwan was incredible. Your thoughts on what you're hearing from this report?
Well, I read the report too. It's 160 pages. It's very well done. The two authors have a lot of experience in the classified world, and they're trying to claim this is completely unclassified, so it's okay. It's scary. I think it shows one possible scenario with a Normandy-style beach landing of amphibious forces combined with a missile attack. And then it shows how the U.S. arrival is too late and that we take a lot of losses ourselves. They talk about 2 aircraft carriers, a lot of naval ships. We sink a lot of Chinese ships. But their overall picture is it would be devastating. Obviously, all the more reason to try to deter this. But how to do that, how to deter a Chinese attack is not an easy concept. Because we claim that we won't necessarily intervene. Chinese say that you're interfering in our internal affairs. Taiwan Island belongs to China, just like Putin saying Ukraine belongs to Russia. So we don't actually accept that Taiwan's a part of China. We acknowledge it, we kind of scatter little ideas around, but we've never said Taiwan's a part of China. So that's the cause of the war. If the Chinese start to think that they're going to lose the province of Taiwan, then they have the use of force as their only option. That's the direction we're moving in, Trace.
And these war games, by the way, are based on us getting permission from Japan to be able to take off from those air bases there, because we don't have, we don't have the reach to be able to do it from some of the other air bases. Just last week, Beijing renewed its threat on Taiwan, and Taiwan's top envoy told the U.S., quoting here, "Everything we're doing now is to prevent the pain and suffering of the tragedy of Ukraine from being repeated in our scenario in Taiwan. So ultimately, we seek to deter the use of military force, but in a worst-case scenario, we understand that we have to be better prepared." And you have some saying, listen, Xi Jinping is very close to maybe doing this in the next year or two.
Yes. I think that's a very real possibility. They've been having these exercises with bombers, jet fighters, missiles being tested, as though they want to desensitize Taiwan so they can get away with a surprise attack because Taiwan will think it's another exercise. We have a lot of problems with Taiwan's own defense not being the way we'd like to see it. We'd like to see them be more like a porcupine, able to stop the invasion. They're not doing that. They're buying high-end jet fighters, ships. They're not doing what our military considers to be the right thing, but we have very little influence over how they prepare their own defense. That's another problem that makes them into like a sitting duck for a Chinese attack.
Yeah, and I've got to go, but the Wall Street Journal also pointed out a lot of this would be a great deal of stress on an 80-something-year-old president to make decision after decision involving very high stakes. Your final thoughts?
That's exactly right. This would be in a matter of minutes to decide, okay, the Chinese Normandy-style landing has started, the ships are coming across the strait. Mr. President, what do we do? It's not a time for dawdling or dithering. There has to be action taken right away. I'm not sure that will happen. Are you?
Yeah. Michael Pillsbury, it's a great rhetorical question. Thank you, sir, for coming on.
Thanks, Trace.